Today's video is sponsored by Dungeon Scribe, Magical Oddities decks. The Kickstarter just went live today. D&D is all about roleplay, adventure, monsters, and most importantly, loot. And now we can add 150 fully illustrated, brilliant new unique magical items for 5th edition. Look at these amazing item cards. Not only is the art incredible, but the item effects themselves are well thought out and interesting. I'm not the best at coming up with new items to keep my players interested, so I might as well have the pros do it for me. As much as I love the art and effects for the items, I really appreciate the design and layout of the cards. It's easy to understand an item's range, how many times per day, or long rest an item effect can be used. Back the Kickstarter now and discover 3 decks of unique items and oddities for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Grow your table's arsenal, dole out new items with ease, and empower both players and NPCs in bold new ways. And now what you're here for. How our terrible DM totally lost his shit and got hospitalized. Hi everyone, All Things D&D is back with another story. If your DM is terrible, maybe there are a few underlying issues. A gambling problem, running a counterfeit Magic the Gathering card operation, anger management issues. But this DM happens to be all 3 of those things at the same time. Listen to this wild story of a DM that gets exactly what they deserve after mistreating a player in his campaign. It was the year 1998, and the Soccer World Cup hosted in France was coming. This will be kind of important later. Me and my friends Green and Newt were regulars at a comic book store, where we played Magic the Gathering, traded cards, and also played some D&D. We usually kept our games outside the store for a few reasons. One is that getting players or DMs there was really random, and it could go sideways easily. Most of them played Magic as well, and we knew some of them to be nasty a-holes. However, at the time, we found no game outside the store, so against our better judgment, we opted to join a game run by a dude we will call Lucas. Lucas was in his 30s, sporting fatness and a neckbeard. I was like 16 at the time, and had some respect for the man only because of his age. We only knew him from the Magic the Gathering circuit, and he was okay. He had some temper issues, but was usually cordial and somewhat friendly with new players. Also, he usually helped them build their first deck, and even gifted them some common and uncommon cards from his really impressive collection. Magic was a really expensive hobby in our country. We quickly learned that as a DM, Lucas was a monster. He treated his players like crap. He killed PCs because of petty nonsense, and was overall a horrible tyrant. We put up with him because he was a really creative narrator, and if we didn't exercise too much free will, he brought nice moments to the table. For a few months, the party consisted of the 3 of us, plus another rotating player that kept quitting when Lucas went bullshit mode. Finally, Lucas' mood plateaued, and we found a regular 4th. A woman in her early to mid-20s we'll call Punk, because she called us punks every time we tried to hit on her. Yeah, we were like that. During the time we played with Punk, we went through a really cool story, in which we were tasked by an ancient dragon to infiltrate a human kingdom, and learn about the whereabouts of some dormant dragon eggs. Dragons were becoming extinct in that world, because the humanoid races were ganging up on them, as they found them dangerous. However, the human king stole some eggs to find a way to raise his own dragons, so he could weaponize them. It was an awesome story, and we were enjoying the hell out of it. Then the World Cup started. For some reason, Lucas's mood changed for the worse during that time. It became even worse when our own country was eliminated in the quarterfinals. He became more aggressive and unfair in his style, punishing us in railroading, being super stingy with loot and XP, and he seemed to want to hurt us badly in combat. In-game, our party stole the eggs from the kingdom and was taking it back to the dragon, avoiding all sorts of dangers. We were super cautious, because we were aware that Lucas would kill us over the slightest thing, so we tried to avoid confrontation as much as possible, and we pretty much avoided Lucas's wrath. In the meantime, our DM's condition worsened. He looked increasingly tired, restless, and irritable. We asked him what was going on, and he avoided the subject rather rudely. In the meantime, we also learned that he got in a fight during a Magic the Gathering tournament and was kicked out, losing the chance to compete for a Juzam Jin from the Arabian Nights expansion. This was at the time a pricey card. We were nearing the end of the campaign by the time the World Cup ended. The day after the final, France beat Brazil 3-0. We had a game scheduled. Lucas was in the foulest of moods. He treated us like crap, and was pissed at Punk because she was like 15 minutes late. Our party was camping in the woods near the mountain where the ancient dragon lived when we finished the previous session. When we started that day, my character woke up in the middle of the night by some strange noises. I alerted the rest of the party. Green and Newt got up, but Punk was nowhere to be seen. We spent an hour looking for her, and when we found her, Lucas described her as naked, violated, and beaten so badly, we had to use up most of our resources to keep her alive. She had lost all of her possessions, including her magic items, and Lucas declared that since she had a broken leg that didn't heal by Newt's cleric magic, she had a lot of penalties on her rolls. Punk got pissed at the DM, her character being mistreated like that without even getting a chance to roll anything. They argued and she left. We were pissed as well. Lucas told us that we didn't need her. The next session would likely be the end of the campaign and called it a night. So why do I call this a glory story? Because what came next was the most epic revenge from Punk and pretty much changed my view on a lot of things. We went the next day to the comic store for the Magic the Gathering tourney that was taking place and saw Punk there. Lucas was still banned so we could talk openly with her about what happened. She told us that at first she thought of not coming back to the last session, but told us she changed her mind and asked us to be there, diffusing our initial plan to do a no-show and dump Lucas in her support. Next session arrives. When I got to the store, Punk and Lucas were already there, and they told me they smoothed things over, and Lucas agreed to retcon some of the past events. Mainly that Punk's character wasn't violated, and her leg healed properly, so no penalties to roll, and that she'll have a chance to recover her stuff in this session. It all seemed good, so when Newton Green arrived, we started right away. We took off where we left, minus the assault and broken knee. We moved on and dealt with some dangers, and we're getting really close to the mountain. One last night camping out before the final stage. No problems during the night, and Punk took the last turn on guard. Come next morning, she describes waking up to the pleasant smell of breakfast. She serves us pots of coffee and bowls with scrambled eggs. We have a small chat, role-playing our plans for the day. Punk is quiet with a smile on her face. Then we gather our stuff and Green notices the dragon eggs are missing. "Where are the dragon eggs?" he asks. "Here," says Punk, patting Green's belly with a wicked grin on her face. What follows is not a 100% exact recount of the conversation, because I can't remember word for word, as it was over 20 years ago, and because it wasn't a clean movie dialogue, but rather a shouting match filled with expletives, pushing, shoving, and drama. Let's say what's next is a cleaner, easier to understand version of the exchange that ensued. "What the hell do you mean?" asked Lucas. "I cooked your dragon eggs. Your nice little story is over," she said. Green, Newton, and I stared with our mouths open in disbelief. "No, it's not. That didn't happen. You get the hell out of my game. You're out," yelled Lucas in a really high-pitched squeal, standing up trying to look menacing. Punk stood up too. We all jumped to our feet as well, knowing shit was about to go down. "No, Lucas, you're out. You know what this is?" She tossed a magic card on the table. It was a rare but not so rare card. Let's say it was a Siobhan dragon. "A Siobhan dragon? What the hell do you mean?" said Lucas, confused, still trying to look tough. "No, it's the piece of cardboard with a Siobhan dragon printed on it that you sold to a kid. It's a fake. We found you out, Lucas. You've been selling fake cards to kids for a while now," she said, getting in his face. "Get the hell out of here," shouted Lucas, clenching his fists. "That's bullshit. You're just angry because what I did to your stupid character and this is your retaliation? Get out of here." The argument went on like that. Apparently, as we learned later, Lucas didn't actually have a job or anything. He made his money trading cards, playing Magic in tourneys for boosters or rares, scamming kids and selling fakes. He had a few connections that tried to make a hustle printing pretty good fakes that sold rather quickly. They were smart because they printed not so expensive cards. However, their gig was kind of short-lived because some of the cards ended up in one of the decks someone took to the US for a tourney and got busted. He avoided getting banned, but when he came back, he traced back the card, and it eventually led to Punk's cousin, who in turn bought or traded the card from Lucas thinking it was legit. At first, Punk and her cousin didn't mention Lucas's name because they thought he was a good guy, a victim in this as well, and since he was rather well known in the gaming circuit, they knew that pointing him out would be a messy situation. However, when Lucas did what he did to Punk's character, she began doubting him and did some digging at the tourney the next day. She found out a bunch of other kids that got cards from Lucas and they checked him out. Most of them were fakes too. During this argument, Punk said all this, and Lucas tried to deny everything until he couldn't. Everyone was looking at us now, and Lucas was truly done. Then he completely lost his shit and swung at Punk. Luckily, he didn't successfully connect, and only managed to graze her shoulder. Immediately, we got between them and a few others grabbed Lucas, who was trying to fight everyone in a frenzy. He was yelling completely out of control. His face was red like a tiefling, and then he dropped his left hand, clutched at his chest with his right hand and fell on one knee, with an expression of extreme pain. He then dropped to the floor and we had to clear the room, as an ambulance was called. He was rushed to the hospital and we never saw him again. We found out Lucas had a heart attack and recovered. He had to pay some people to avoid getting the police involved, and then disappeared forever. We all decided to check our cards, and I actually found a fake Swords to Plowshares in my deck that I gave to Punk as a souvenir. Moral of the story? Don't sell fake cards to kids, and don't be a horrible DM. Karma will get you. What a roller coaster. Horrible DM with temper issues is also a piece of garbage, selling counterfeit Magic cards to kids. Unbelievable. Please let us know what you think and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Our videos are posted every Tuesday and Friday, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.